がいいのか。
Hey everybody, welcome back to Game Esoterica. We're continuing the series, the PlayStation 2 Palace, where I'll take a look at some of my favorite PlayStation 2 games of all time, and games that I don't think are going to show up on many best top 10 of all time PlayStation 2 game lists. And of course, if you're me, you can't do a PlayStation 2 series without talking about at least one Katamari game, and I chose We Love Katamari because it is my favorite on the PlayStation 2. Keita Takahashi just absolutely came out of nowhere with a concept for a game that was absolutely spectacular, and he ran with it, and we've been playing Katamari games ever since. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But Katamari as a series, and We Love Katamari as a game, to me is the definition of the term games as art. Yes, this is a video game, yes it has mechanics, yes they are simple, but they do exist. But this to me is art first and a video game second. And if anybody wants to have the debate of if video games can be art, and I was involved in it, this would be the first game I would point to. Katamari as a series, and We Love Katamari as a game. It is such a simple concept at its execution. You roll the Katamari forward, you turn it around, you bump into things, and those things stick to the Katamari like an infinite everlasting gobstopper. That is all you really need to know to play the game, and it does such a great job using the dual analog sticks of the PlayStation 2. It is very easy to control until it becomes impossible to control, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But as we roll through this school, first we started on a desk as a very small Katamari picking up pencils and erasers. Now we're rolling through an office picking up office furniture, and as we get bigger we start rolling individual humans up. This game is absurd, it is strange, it is weird, and it is better for being all of those things. If this game wasn't as weird as it was, and if it didn't have so much character and charm as it did, it wouldn't be near as much fun as an experience any video game. But because it's so colorful and so playful and so absurd, and it wears its heart on its sleeve, I can't help but absolutely love this series, and I have loved it since it came out on the PlayStation 2, and I bought it on a shelf not knowing what it was, it just looked interesting. I took the original game home, popped it in my PlayStation 2, fell in love with it, and I've been a fan ever since. But the game does give you more things to do than just roll objects up. Of course that's going to be the main narrative and sort of mechanical hook of the game, but in some levels you're just trying to get as big as you can. Other levels you need to roll up as many flowers as you possibly can in a set time limit. In a way it is like a puzzle action platformer game, except you don't really do much jumping whatsoever. In some ways it's like an arcade racing game in that you need to learn the best path around each individual level so that you can perform the best. Of course there is no arcade racing involved, there's no first, second, or third place, but learning the layout, learning how to move, and understanding what the game is asking of you also requires a lot of strategy, and that's why I love this game as well. It's a simple pick up and play game that if you want to start trying to speedrun or do leaderboard runs, becomes infinitely complex and difficult and something that you can really sink your teeth into and learn. But I mean, what other game is going to give you a cat in a scuba mask like we just saw there? This game marries two things I love together. Excellent, interesting, and unique gameplay with a sense of visual whimsy. We Love Katamari has both, and it does such a good job of exhibiting both of them. And this just feels like the type of game that we would get in the Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 era. People wanted to experiment with mechanics and they had more power, so you can push around hundreds of little polygons on the screen, these characters here. Sure, there's a cat in a scuba mask. We also have all of these fish coming by, and it does run at a relatively decent frame rate. I'm not going to lie, sometimes Katamari Damacy and We Love Katamari are going to slow down on the PlayStation 2. But you just deal with it because look at that polar bear, he's so hilariously interesting and unique. And I will say that as far as game soundtracks are concerned, the entire Katamari Damacy has some of the best music ever put to video games. Leave me a comment down below and tell me what your favorite music in any game is, but I say it's this, so go ahead and listen for 45 seconds. It's just such a lively, fun, and charming music, and it 100% works perfectly in what you're doing. But I love that you can just do absurd things as well, like absolutely not pay any attention to what you're supposed to be doing on trying to make a snowman, and put this tiny little snowman ball up there with one Cyclops eye. It just makes me laugh, and the game always makes me laugh, and that is a good thing. It's so charming, it's so weird, it's so unique. And in between individual stages, as you progress, you get more gameplay story as well. You'll see here, you just get a little backstory into what's going on in the universe of Katamari Damacy, and it is no more normal than the rest of the game is, which is to say it is incredibly weird as well. But it is charming. You can tell the people that made this game loved the universe they were working in and just loved using weirdness and charming strangeness as a sort of way to just endear you to the game more. This is the type of game that I think anyone who plays video games, anyone who likes either modern or retro video games, 100% has to play at least once in their life, because there really is nothing else like Katamari Damacy or We Love Katamari. It is a genre in and of itself, and if you can think of another game that does the exact same thing, leave me a comment down below, because I just never can. But I also love the progression in this game. Pay attention to where we are here. These two people are hopping around this fire, and we're rolling through their bamboo garden, just picking up small utensils. It's going to be really important, because we will be back here in just a moment, but I love that we can even take up the fence as well. But as we get a little bit bigger, we start picking up larger objects. And you'll see here we have a timer of over 16 minutes. Some of the levels in Katamari Damacy and We Love Katamari are just huge, and I'm saying both titles because these games are so similar. I really could have picked either or. But I love just how big the levels can get and how much time you can spend doing one thing. It's almost a Zen-like experience, just navigating the world, picking things up, and experiencing all the sights and sounds and soundtracks of the game. And you'll see here we just picked up a taiko drum and about a half dozen men that I think were practicing Tai Chi. I'm not really sure what they're doing there. And now as we roll back through this area again, there is that same fire that we just rolled around a minute ago, but now we are big enough to actually pick the humans up and barely even fit in that courtyard. As we go back to it, I love these particular levels in the game where suddenly your Katamari starts taking on kaiju-like size proportions, just allowing you to wreak absolute havoc in the town. This is like Godzilla came to visit and destroyed your city, except it is the prince rolling around a Katamari collecting everything they possibly can in the level. And I love those exclamation points over their heads as well when human beings know they're going to be rolled up. I don't know, I'm not confident, but I do not think being rolled up in a Katamari would be a positive experience. And I will say sometimes you do roll something up like a log that's going to put your Katamari off balance for a bit, so there is some strategy in the movement of understanding what you do and don't want to roll up, but honestly, 99 out of 100 people are just going to roll up everything in their path and not worry about it. But again, I told you earlier, this game has one of the best soundtracks I think has ever been put to a video game, so go ahead and listen for 30 seconds this time, and I'll come back and show you just how big this Katamari can get, because trust me, it can get absolutely massive. It's like a mix of big band and jazz and swing music, and those are not genres that I would ever listen to in my normal life if I was just putting the radio on. But for some strange reason, I will 100% listen to the Katamari soundtracks in the car if I'm driving around if I don't want to hear your radio music or something more traditional. Honestly, I own most of the soundtracks as well, and I'm not really a video game soundtrack collector whatsoever, but Katamari just does it for me. And as we go back to the last level before I listen to the soundtrack, we are now a city-destroying size Katamari. We are rolling up elephants, we are rolling up trucks, and we're just 12.5 meters high. Actually, we're 16 meters at this point. There will be areas in the levels in which you cannot bypass until you get to a certain size, but now that we are this big, we're just basically wreaking havoc on the city, all in the order of trying to build stars in the sky. And I really haven't even told you anything about the story of this game because it is wild, but honestly I wanted to approach this from a visual, artistic, and music standpoint because Katamari Damacy, We Love Katamari, and all the games that come after it really do personify the video games as art argument. And it's not just the aesthetics. I just love the fact that you start so small, rolling through the city square, and now you're actually rolling up the city in and of itself. No other game lets you do this, and as you get bigger and bigger, the spectacle grows and grows, and really soon we're going to be rolling up the London Bridge and Big Ben, and what other game lets you do that? And a big extra special, I love it too, the art style, the flat shading on a lot of the polygons, the basic textures, the rudimentary models, it all goes to make a vibe, but it's all from a technical perspective important as well. If every single object in the game was fully modeled to look realistic, this game would probably run at 1 to 2 frames per second. So it is mirroring art and technology and the technology's limitations to make the game run, and there's nothing better than just rolling through the city, and now we're just taking skyscrapers along for the ride. If you've never played a Katamari game before, do me the favor and play one, but leave me a comment down below and tell me if you played one, if you loved it or hated it, and what your favorite game in the series is. Because if this was a PlayStation 3 series, I would tell you Katamari Forever is my favorite game in the franchise, but because we're doing PlayStation 2, I gotta tell you that We Love Katamari is my favorite on that platform. But whatever game you play, whatever system it's for, you're gonna have an absolutely amazing, spectacular, near to magical time, because this game is unlike anything that has ever been done before, and it's unlike anything that's ever been done since. And if you watched my What Why series, you saw Wadham, and that is very similar, but I still think Katamari is better. Short of that, leave me a comment down below, tell me what you thought of Katamari, tell me if you're going to play it, but I'll see you guys for the next video because we're done. Bye bye.